Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to another edition of ReWatching Legion. Today I'm talking about Season 2, Chapter 19. I'm just going to share my general thoughts after I just finished rewatching this episode. In this episode, the final episode of the second season, we finally get the showdown between the Shadow King and David. And we get it right off the bat as soon as this episode starts off. And I just love it with Behind Blue Eyes playing as David's just floating across the desert, and then the Shadow King's floating in with the storm coming behind him, and then they have this giant animated fight while they're still doing karaoke, and I freaking love it. It was great. I just love that battle so much. It's one of my favorite superhero battles of probably definitely of all television, maybe in all everything. It's really great. I love the creativity to it, the thought that goes into the idea behind it, behind these two psychics, like super powerful psychics fighting. So I just really enjoyed it. I really love that fight, even though it is fairly short. It is pretty short because Lenny does learn what her role was supposed to be slightly different, but she does kind of help out in the end. She hits the pitchfork, the choke thing, to knock out their powers, and David's about to beat the shit. Well, he is beating the shit out of Frou, and he's almost about to kill her. And then that's when Sid shows up and decides that she's turned on David after the events of last episode, and Melanie convincing her that David was evil. Even though, again, I don't want to really take a hard stance on it whether David is evil or not. I personally think he's a little bit closer to the good than the evil, but she seems to think he's more evil than good. And so yeah, this episode pretty much resolves a lot around the fact that David's trying to hide the fight that him and Sid end up having, which that's the part where David is definitely evil and did wrong. You don't mess with other people's memories, David, especially not your girlfriend. And then no, David. Shame on you, David. So that part, that part I get why they turned on him. But at the same time, it feels like this whole thing, I found it really funny because nobody stopped to ask, well, why would David turn? Melanie makes this thing about power and stuff like that. But David's also never been a dude chasing after power, because if he wanted power, he could have it. He has the power already. So it's interesting to me that nobody was like, oh, maybe the reason David goes bad is because his girlfriend tells him she doesn't love him anymore because some stuff she heard from a guy they'd been chasing for 2 seasons. So it's really just like, okay, you're just gonna believe that David's okay. Alright, so that's the part that I find a little frustrating, especially in the rewatch, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, but he's, but I get how it can go both ways. And I like the idea that the show kind of plants in the fact that it's like, you don't know for sure, is it them having a mass delusion, or is David actually, because David does have mental illness, that's for sure, that's not an argument here, but is that mental illness what makes him become evil, or is it that all his friends turn on him, calling him evil, and they say he has to change, or they're gonna kill him? It's like, come on, if I would turn evil too if everyone was like, hey, you gotta change your ways or we're gonna kill you. Those are your 2 options, and it's like, well, he's David, so he's got another option, which is blow this shit up and get out of here, which I really enjoy that's the way he goes about it, because I might have been a little bit more, I would have been a little more evil about it. I would have hurt everybody. I would have been gave everybody the chicken pox or something kind of, evil, but not super evil, something a little bit more than just leaving. I would have left them with a present of some kind, but maybe we'll learn that in the next season. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like that at the end, David leaves with Lenny and is kind of setting into place the apocalyptic future that we did see, which is like, oh yeah, you guys are just causing the apocalypse that you thought you were preventing. So it's just, I just really like the ideas behind it. So that was really interesting to see them turn on David, and then David trying to be working with them at first, and he still is kind of not admitting that he's got does have split personalities, or what's it called, schizophrenia. He has not quite admitted that to himself fully, because he spends a lot of this episode talking to himself and not really recognizing that he's talking to himself. I also like the parallels of to the fact that he hasn't really talked to him. We haven't seen like the visual representation of himself this season that I can remember from the last 2 days of rewatching this series. But in the last season finale of the first season, so the season finale of the first season, he also talked to himself to work through some stuff. So I really like the kind of like the parallels between the two season finales, that he, has to talk to himself to kind of work through some stuff a little bit. In this one, it doesn't really go to plan. His inner self's telling him that he's not listening to the plan, and well, that happens sometimes. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this season finale. It makes me really excited for the third season when I first watched it, and even more so excited now that I've rewatched it, and the third season will be coming out later tomorrow, by the time I get it on Google Play. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on this episode. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of the season 2 finale, and if you'll be checking out season 3 of Legion. Thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.